So the first thing I'd like to do is thank my friend Chip for scheduling me to speak after Jenna. What an incredibly powerful topic. So in light and in the spirit of the way that Jenna brought it, I'd like to start with this. Please stand if you are someone who self-identifies as a person who likes cake. Stand up. Very good. Great. Now you can go ahead and sit down. Excellent. We have some cake lovers. We have some other sweet lovers out there. Maybe we have some folks who are like, no, that's not my style. I like to go with the savory thing. Now for you cake lovers, what's your favorite kind of cake? Just shout it out.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Decadence.
Decadent.
Chocolate. Sweet potato.
Chocolate. Sorry?
Sweet potato.
Sweet potato.
Pineapple upside down.
Pineapple upside down.
Carrot.
Carrot. Oh, personal favorite. Well done. Coconut. Nice. Now I want you to take just a moment, close your eyes, and I want you to picture the most perfect cake of the type that you like the most. And if you're not a cake person, imagine that thing that you think is amazing and just the perfect version of it. Thank you. Now go ahead and open your eyes. Now, I don't know if you've ever made a cake, but I'm sure you've probably enjoyed one at some point in your life. But one of the things that we know about making a cake is that when you make a cake, it doesn't look like the final product. That picture you had in your head did not look like what it took to make one. It took cracking eggs and scrambling those beautiful yolks, and then adding milk to that mixture, and then flour, and then other ingredients. And it really was kind of a mess. And the following story I'm about to tell you is all about breaking some eggs, adding flour and milk, and making a mess. See, we all live inside the stories that we make up about ourselves. Now, I like to think of myself as a relatively positive, forward-thinking, look on the bright side of things kind of guy. I think we all are. I think that's our sweet spot, and that's where we'd like to maintain our time and energy if we possibly can. But I don't think we spend enough time looking at the stories that we've told ourselves about when things went wrong. Because here's what I know. When things go according to plan, at best they're, wow, that worked out. But when they don't, there are often lessons that there is gold in. That there are lessons where we can mine things that will serve us for the rest of our lives. So I want you to imagine for a moment that I'm wearing a big black rimmed hat. And I'm wearing black shoes like I'm wearing tonight. And on my hat is a big buckle. And on my shoes are buckles as well. So you have to understand, my family descends from Puritans. The people who came over on wooden ships with names like Mayflower, and Nina, and Santa Maria. People who lived lives that were written down and saved. These were people of significance. See, I grew up in New England. And in a family like that, my experience was that there were kind of some high expectations. Right, like if our ancestors could do this and that and the other thing, well, clearly ourselves could as well. I grew up in a house with Ivy League parents in a liberal city. And into this house of high expectations, I was more than a mild disappointment. See, I wasn't one of those kids that had that direction. You know those kids. You look at them, and even as an adult, you see a kid like that, and you're like, oh, no. Wow, that's amazing. Right? Like where they have that direction of it's athletics, or it's academics, or it's some passion they have in the world. That was not me. See, I like sports. I grew up in Boston, so it's kind of the law. If you're a boy, you got to play hockey. And I liked hockey, but I wasn't spectacular at it. I liked school, wasn't particularly good at that, and I didn't particularly have any direction. So into this life and into this family was kind of a disappointment, where my parents were sort of quietly trying to figure out what's wrong. What's wrong that he just isn't that guy? So my reaction was to become a people pleaser, a rule follower, and I became bright and shiny. See, if you're a people pleaser and a rule follower, first of all, you're rolling under the radar. And when people interact with you, if you're a bright and shiny penny, you're moving so fast, you're so engaging, that with luck, they won't notice what a disappointment you actually are. Now, as you might guess, when I got the chance, I moved far away from New England. Flash forward about 15 years, and I'm living in the beautiful state of New Mexico, the land of enchantment. Santa Fe, New Mexico, as a matter of fact. I've really made a life for myself. I've met this amazing woman who I've gotten married to. I'm an avid snowboarder and hiker. I've built a home, and I've created a career in the fire service. I'm actually a paramedic firefighter. I'm at the height of my professional career of my training, and I've recently been promoted to the chief operating officer of a very successful ambulance company. Successful by any external measure. But change was in the air. You see, my wife was pregnant. And we promised ourselves that when we had kids, we would move from New Mexico. We wanted to get back to the ocean. We wanted to get closer to a big city with more culture. So we needed to move. Now here's what you need to know about the fire service. It's really like a brotherhood. We saw things on a day-to-day basis and experienced things that were really difficult to talk to with other people, so we relied on each other like family. But with a background of a guy who doesn't want to disappoint people and be a disappointment, and continue to be the people pleaser that I'd always been, I didn't want to tell them, I'm thinking about leaving you. As a matter of fact, I'm not only thinking about it after 10 years, but I am. So I kept it a secret. I secretly started applying for work out of state. Now what you need to know is, applying for work out of state in the fire department means flying to different places and going through multiple days of testing and written tests and interviews. It's kind of an involved process. And I jumped right into it, started booking flights and hotel rooms. In the first few testings, it didn't go so well. See, the success and the background and the framework that I created for myself in New Mexico wasn't transferring into other fire services. I wasn't getting the jobs. Wasn't even close. Doubt started crawling in. I was pretty clear that the disappointment that I was trying to hide and had done so successfully might be showing again. But then there was a breakthrough. A fire service in the Northwest was doing a major hiring. It was an established fire department. It was really well funded, and they had a lot of openings. Now, what a lot of openings looked like for somebody who had my kind of licensure is 6. They had 6 openings. So I booked a flight, and I got my hotel rooms. The day I showed up for testing, the local fire department had to take over the largest high school in their entire district to test all 1,000 people that showed up for 6 jobs. Now, you know those days when you wake up and you just can't screw it up no matter what you do? Everything comes out perfect, you're in the flow, it's like you're on fire. Well, the day of testing was like that for me. Everything went right. You push the elevator button to go down, the hotel doors open right up. Everything just seemed to be clicking and flowing. I got into the testing process. The day just flew by. I got through the testing with ease. I got through the first round of interviews, no problem. Then I went to the interview panel. The interview panel was glorious. I left them laughing and smiling. They shook my hand. A battalion chief winked at me and said, "You'll probably be hearing from us soon." Not 48 hours later, just 2 days, I got a phone call. Hey, Charlie, we'd love it if you'd consider becoming part of our fire department. Would you come down and join our fire department? I went to my wife, who's now 5-6 months pregnant. I go, God, it's really great. They've invited us to come back. They said that you should come too. We'll take a look at houses. We'll find a place to live. I just have to go back and do some administrative stuff. And then we'll figure out our transition, and I'll tell the rest of the department the whole thing. So we flew back, and on a Saturday, they told me my schedule. They said, you need to do a cardiac stress test. You're going to need to do a blood draw. You're going to need to go talk with a staff psychologist. You're going to need to meet with people at HR and blah, 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 blah. So about halfway through my day, just sort of one step after another, I went and met with a staff psychologist. And he's got my entire folder of testing. 400 multiple choice questions, plus essays. And he's flipping through it, and it seems pretty matter of fact. And he said, hey, I had a couple of questions for you about some of your questions. I said, great. And he said, He said, you answered in one of these questions about, have you ever thought about taking your own life? And you answered, yes. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. See, I'm a liberal arts major. Not one of us has not thought of what it would not be like to be on this mortal coil. What would life be like without us, and what would it be like if we'd never existed? And I shared this with him. I said, of course, there isn't anybody that doesn't think about what it would be like. And we hear stories about people taking their own lives, and it's impossible not to imagine what it would be like to be in their shoes, and could you do that, or would you do that? Yes. We went on for a couple more minutes, and he completed the interview. He said, great, thanks. Thanks for coming in. So off I went to my next appointment. It was a place where I was going to give a blood draw. And I remember going in, I left my beautiful wife, who's sitting back here, in the car, more pregnant than not, with a stack of real estate brochures. It was a rainy day. And I got into the building, took the elevator to the second floor. I'll never forget this. I walked up to the countertop, and there was a nurse there. And you know, nurses' scrubs, like they can come in different patterns, you can get custom patterns. Hers had giraffes on them. It was just really cute. And she's welcoming me in, and the phone rings. And she picks it up, and she goes, actually, it's kind of funny, it's for you. I said, oh, great. So I said, hi, this is Charlie. And on the phone was the battalion chief. And he said, hey, Charlie, I wanted to let you know I'm super sorry, but we're withdrawing our job offer effective immediately. And it's non-reviewable. Now, I don't actually remember what I said at this point, but somewhere along the line, it was sort of like, why, or what happened? I don't understand. Everything seemed to be going so well. He said, well, we just got a phone call as soon as you left the psychologist's office. And he shared with us that due to your interview, that you are unfit for service. If you've ever watched The Roadrunner, you'll be aware of my friend Wile E. Coyote. If you've ever been aware of what happens and what it looks like when the world falls out from under his feet, there is that moment where he's standing stock still in the air, knowing that everything just fell out from underneath him. That was me. In that moment, all my dreams, all my expectations, everything that I thought that I knew about myself just fell away. I had to go down and explain to my very pregnant wife that I just lost the opportunity that was the thing that was going to move us forward. It threw everything I knew into disarray. We flew the next home, we flew home the next day. Now, if you thought it was bad, it's about to get worse. See, word had gotten out that I'd been looking for a job and not telling anybody. And the people I worked with felt betrayed. And so in my hour of need, where my community and my brotherhood could stand around me, they wanted to have nothing to do with me. For about a month, I showed up to work. I kept my head down. I did whatever I had to do, and nothing more. I kept to myself. And then one day, a friend of mine, this amazing woman named Ashley, red hair, big heart, an attitude of devil may care at its very core, finally forced me to sit down and talk with her. And she said, I gotta know what's going on. And so I told her the story from beginning to end. At the end, she took a deep breath, and I had that sullen, sad, lonely look on my face. And she said, oh, you know what the mistake you made was, right? I said, what? I said, what do you mean? She goes, the mistake, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? I think I made a lot of them. She goes, no, you only made one. She's like, you told him the truth.
Yeah.
She's like, you told him the truth. We are not made of any one thing. We are no square peg that fits in any square hole. Their world is not designed to fit things that don't meet the norm or the expectation or the box or the check. Theirs is only designed to make sure that they're lining up in a certain way. And she's like, guess what? You're not like that. You fucking psycho. It was the first laugh that I'd had in a long time. That was the precipitating event that ended in my departure from the fire service 18 years ago. And I have never looked back, and I have never been happier. I could not be where I am doing the work that really calls me today without that having happened. We are these deep, rich, complicated beings. It is as much to our merit, the struggles that we have to go through, the lessons that we learn from them, than is anything else. Our stories are not over. Wherever you are today, if you struggle, this is the gold. I know it's hard to hear. This is the gold. This is the lesson that is going to launch you into the what's next. If you are young and you are struggling, there's so much ahead. If you are older and you're struggling, it ain't over. This story's just beginning. Your story, my story, all our stories. We have so much available and so much capacity. I know I believe in you. And my question is, are you willing to believe in you? Remember, the cake that we're baking had to scramble some eggs. But at the end of the day, it's a foregone conclusion. It's going to be an amazing cake. Thank you guys so much.